Hello, this is Chris Brett from Eurogamer, joined by my good friend Bertie Purchase.
Hello.
And we're looking at, this is actually what you played. This is Divinity Original Sin 2, and this is actually your gameplay from a recent trip, right?
This is me, yeah. I went to Ghent a few weeks ago now. Ghent is in Belgium. It's very nice kind of medievally picturesque town.
I always imagined like the Divinity games were made in a nice medieval town somewhere.
It's very nice. I recommend going. And we went to the Larian office to go and play. It was a few hours. We've edited it down.
Yeah, so I think there's about 35 minutes, something like that here.
Look at those guys.
And this is, of course, one of the most important parts of a Divinity campaign is character creation. I like that you tied with the idea of being a human for like a minute, and then you're like, well, actually, I could just be a lizard instead.
The lizards look amazing, because in Divinity Original Sin 1, you can only be human. And you'll notice as well that you can only create one character here, whereas in the first game you create two. We'll get onto that later.
Okay, let's quickly explain the origin system, because this is, you went for a kind of predefined character rather than you can pick the class that you're going to be, but you've picked the Red Prince. What is that?
It's a background story. It gives you it lands you in the world with some motivation, some purpose, and a personality as well. In the dialogue with other characters and NPCs, you'll have, and you'll see it in the gameplay.
You'll get Red Prince.
You'll see
specific.
like a Red Prince specific option. So he's an exiled royal basically, and so he's all high and mighty.
So all the lizards are a bit full of themselves and don't really like the other races that much. The Red Prince is like a slightly more extreme version of that.
And the world reacts differently to different races as well. So there's racism, but there's also areas where you can solve a quest. For instance, if you play as, or if you choose the lizard in your party, assuming you have one in your party, then a lot more doors will be open to you because of that. Yeah.
So you have gone for a battle mage class, which is, I guess, a combination of melee and magic.
Yeah, the same thing with Divinity Original Sin 1. It gives you a bunch of sort of preset characters, but there are no classes in Divinity.
I just noticed, is that the Red Prince in the loading screen there on the left?
It probably is.
So you were telling me earlier on, there's a very similar opening here with a wreck ship. You told me earlier on that you can actually find these kind of origin characters in the game and recruit them to your party, even if you don't pick them.
Yeah,
so
this is the beginning of the game, and you're in. As you see, I've got a collar on there.
Yes.
And effectively, I'm in a kind of prison camp where all of our source powers are being limited, because in the game you can get these source abilities, which are like ultra abilities. But we can't use them yet, and you collect source points to power them.
Sure.
But that's not in this bit.
Because you're wearing I think that's called a source color, actually. I guess we'll see a little bit more of that. As we've said, this is edited down slightly because there was so much gameplay that we captured. But this right here, Bertie, is your very first fight in Divinity 2.
This is new, so you can see there.
And I like that you immediately turn into a bush.
Yeah.
It's a good moment.
The sneaking is ridiculous in the game, but it's...
Yeah. That a lot of Divinity is ridiculous to look at and watch, and that's actually why people like it so much.
I love it. I love that they have a great, slightly subversive fantasy way about it. It's a cheeky kind of subversion of the fantasy world and what you expect. And they play around with that and make jokes about that.
I just like that the Red Prince, this royal figure, this proud race, and your first move is to turn into a bush and sneak up to some like weird little slug creatures. So you've just arrived here, and could you want to give a bit more context as to what this part of the world is? This is the very opening of the game.
So yeah, it's like a prison camp where other people like the Red Prince and the other people from the other origins. So don't worry if you don't pick one of the other origin characters, because you bump into them and you can recruit them in your party. And once you've got them in your party, you can have 4 people in your party this time.
Yeah.
And once they're there, you're effectively them.
Oh, we should actually talk about these guys here, because these are important characters. This is someone called the Hammer.
So this is like I don't know who they are really, but this is a triggered story moment.
When Dallas here says "stay back, lizard scum," at first I thought they were talking to you, but apparently that's another lizard scum standing in front of them.
They just hate them, don't they?
There's not a fan of lizards in general. There were a few moments throughout this gameplay where you kind of stumble into other people having arguments, and I quite enjoy watching your thought process whilst you do it.
Well, this is the thing that's great about the game, is that it doesn't bit like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. In fact, it's very like that. Everything seems to sort of be open to you. I mean, you're enclosed in this area, but everything's kind of open to you. You see the different options.
Oh yeah, Red Prince as well. You get to use your kind of royal status there
to try and get them to do what I want. But not everything seems to kind of be open to you, and you can and do frequently make, if there's a wrong decision or a dangerous decision, and the person you're talking to is suddenly having a fight with you, and or you've just started a fight with them by accident, and I think this person has to die.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is partly to show how freaking powerful that character is. I love this as well. I really love this. One, that you fall over immediately as you stumble into this encounter. And two, it's this incredibly important thing's just happened, story-defining moment, and your first move is to ignore all of that and go and nick the guy's boots.
This is brilliant. I was saying it to...
You picked up their leg.
I think Sven... I'll get onto that. I think Sven from Larian, the boss, who's really nice, quite tall. He was telling me about all his crazy adventures he has. He got stuck under a raft. He likes doing rafting.
I think this might be a sidetrack.
Anyway, he's walking around in his socks stuff. Anyway, he was laughing at this, that my first thought was to loot the body. The body part. Yeah. So another thing that's great is elves are in the game now. Mm-hmm. And elves' kind of special feature is they can eat corpses.
Right.
That's their thing.
And what do they get from doing that?
Well, and they can literally consume someone's memories and things. So that arm has a story to it, and if you eat it as the elf, it will give you a story.
We're actually
and that cat, you see him being followed by a cat.
Yeah.
There's a pet power ability in the game, as players of the first game will know, and you can speak to animals because of course you can, because it's Divinity, and
sure.
You can do stuff like that. And that cat, it gets killed, I think, but there's something so I never got to talk to it because I didn't have the pet power ability from the off.
Yeah.
But you can. I think I've roasted it here. Actually, it might be.
Oh yes, you are. This whole encounter is also really great because you come in. Obviously, you're being classic RPG player. You see an elf in trouble, being bullied by some debt collectors or whatever they are, and you wade in to sort that out. Right. This is you being I'm the hero, and I'm gonna just make sure everything goes okay here. Immediately, if you look at the turn order, you're not going to even get to do anything until everyone else has already had a go, which leads to this wonderful situation in which you come to save the elf.
And I've started a fight in which the elf is going to cop it.
He's going to get killed before you can do anything. It's nice one, the Red Prince. You really helped that situation out.
If people are watching this
and you quick save just before it happens because you're oh god, I see where this is going.
I think again that was Sven going right. I'm gonna quick save. Well, that's weird.
There's a slight animation bug here. I don't think that's what you meant to do. Also, I'm not entirely sure any of this fight quite plays out how you originally intended.
Nice new fire effect. Whoa.
He's really into casting magic, isn't he, the Red Prince? So yeah, there you are. This is what you were supposed to do.
So people familiar with the first game will see, a lot of this looks and feels familiar, but there we
are, and you set yourself on fire.
Ran through it. Fire's just as powerful in this game. People will be familiar with all the status effects of the floor, so you can make the floor fire, you can combine all sorts of elements, and it's very much about that, tinkering through everything and seeing how you can blow people up.
Sure, yeah, it's you're encouraged to just muck around a lot.
Something you can't see here, that's a big new addition to the game, is the ability to curse and bless.
Right.
And you can curse and bless surfaces. So I could curse that fire and make it cursed fire, which really messes you up. Similarly, I could bless that fire and make it holy fire, which would heal me.
Right, okay.
And that's particularly... So you can suddenly... So you can
combinations
just flip a battlefield on its head. If something's dangerous, you can make it positive.
Okay, cool.
Which is particularly good in there's a PvP arena mode as well. And that's great because it's like you're bluffing. You can go, I'm going to make this whole area a really destructive fire area. Then the other person goes, well, I'll just flip that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh.
This is actually you recruiting your very first companion who has some kind of weird link to possession. I'm not sure if it's spirits that seem to be
so this is
communicating with her. Or like she mentions at one point that it might be demonic, I don't think she really knows that much.
I can't remember her story now, but all of the characters are interesting. They all have a nice backstory. There's an elf.
I like the waggle a rakish eyebrow option. I think that's just a good thing to do.
This is prevalent through every layer of this game. I know this is the intro area, so a lot of attention will be paid on it because a lot of people will obviously have to come through this area. But the writing is lovely and it's playful, and it gives a lot of character, and it's like they're having fun, and everything seems to be explored. It's very impressive. In fact, Chris Avellone is a writer on the game now. There's going to be an undead race as well, which you didn't see in the character.
It is at this stage easy to say which games Chris Avellone isn't the writer on.
Yeah. And he'll be doing the undead race, and maybe there'll be an Origins stuff. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So look out for that.
But yeah, I think genuinely one of the game's strengths is the fact that, as weird as it sounds, because it doesn't have voice acting, it means that they rely solely on text for their conversations. It means they can do a lot more with it. It sort of reminds me a little bit of the jump between Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2.
Absolutely.
Because when you're doing it like this, your conversations can go in so many different directions because it's not super expensive to worry about all those extra lines.
And as a result, there are things you don't come across. It's not an expensive thing to waste. You can have a conversation or a quest in a corner of the world that people never discover.
Sure.
The people who do feel really happy
feel like it's
and proud.
special. Right. Yeah, I think.
But if you did that in a blockbuster like Mass Effect and you wasted all that time on
it's hard to justify
animation,
it. I think that's why people are so happy to see this kind of classic RPG come back, and why obviously crowdfunding has been so successful around it. People want that as well. They want the big blockbuster. They also want the oh my god, this conversation has 7 different options, and one of them is raising a rakish eyebrow. And that's cool.
So here is where I start to get into the meat of the game, and well, not the meat of the game, but the kind of essence of the game, which is I'm in this prison camp area, and my mission broadly is to escape.
Yep.
But no one tells me how to do that. So I followed the checkpoints, and I effectively here are thinking the game's just going to tell me what to do next. There's going to be a quest marker somewhere that I have to get to, and there isn't. And as far as they know, there were about 11 different ways to get out. But you have to explore this whole area and
there's 11. I didn't. Oh, that's cool.
And find out the different ways. And there are all sorts of, as you can probably expect with this game, there are all sorts of inventive ways you can do this. At one point, I don't think it's in this footage. At one point, I go and try some teleport way. Some guy says, I'll go and pick up a teleport glove that I loot from some crocolisk kind of creature. And we end up teleporting across this area, and I find a secret door, but it lands me in prison and the guy runs off.
Yeah. I think we have actually cut that bit because I wanted to, after this encounter, we're going to go to a little bit later on.
I didn't kill the cat. I'm pleased about that. I wondered at which point the cat died.
This I wanted to keep in just because, so you've run into 2 people having an argument again. That's a theme throughout Divinity, people arguing and you stumbling into it. I like this because you use one of the Red Prince dialogue options. So they've had an argument, this fella stabs the lizard in front of you, and then you immediately loot the corpse. God damn it, Bertie, come on! And then you go back in and try to be shocked. It's amazing. But yeah, the Red Prince option there is challenge the half-breed to a duel, which is just a cool option to be able to pick.
Half-breed.
Yeah. And, well, it says duel, but I mean, both of you are fighting in it. Like, your companion is now involved as well. It's a bit unfair.
Not really fair, is it?
Not really. And, yeah, I just thought I'd keep that in, because there would have been a diplomatic way out of that. But you went for the, I'm a cool, important character button.
I spent a lot of time running around this area. A lot of time going back over, and there was definitely a point where I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go, what to do. But as soon as I sort of slowed down a bit and settled into the rhythm of the game, that's the point of this game, tinkering around. There's not fast, easy progress. We've jumped.
I should point out, so as you said, there was a lot of that, but I wanted to get into a slightly later stage in the playthrough. I love that we find you once again surrounded by fire and not entirely sure how to deal with it. So you have I think it's on the Red Prince actually, you've got a hail ability. Oh no, it's not. It's on one of the new characters you recruited, and you're using the hail to put out the flames, basically.
Yeah, and I should point out that I think it's a bug that the fire isn't disappearing here, because I think surfaces will effectively burn themselves. Or
yeah, it should dissipate after a while.
Yeah.
I just think for me, it's just quite funny because there's this recurring theme of you like, you've just had a fight and now you're surrounded by fire and you have to like figure out what to do about that. And yeah, so where in the gate? What's happened?
So
now?
what happened here is after that teleporting thing, I ended up in a prison, not locked away. I'd found like a back door into. I found a hole, I think, and I'd fallen into a cell in a prison. But no one was there and the door wasn't locked. And I just run in and fall over.
I love that. It's great. You put out the flames, but make the surface wet and then trip over. This is the worst adventure.
So here this is
So this is the game's, I guess, first proper dungeon then, really, like that you've encountered anyway.
Yeah.
I know there are multiple.
And I'm sort of working my way from the bottom, kind of to the top.
Right. So this is how you're going to.
And my Red Prince was dead in here for a long time. Because it was just him on his own for a while because the other guys weren't with him. And then I found out a way how to get them all down there too. Because in your inventory, I've got some gloves of teleportation which allow me to use teleport skill, which is how I got down there in the first place.
Oh, but you only got in there with one character.
Yeah, but then I was told that actually I can swap stuff in my inventory even though he's dead on another screen. Because while he was dead, the other guys were still playing. You're still players then. So I swapped the glove to them and got them all down there.
This bit, you found a dog in a cage that you can talk to because you now have a character with that ability, and it's like it's worried because it's whoever owns it has kind of corrupted it somehow.
And I did a nice thing here, and I let it out.
I should let it out. And I'm sure that works out fine because it seems like it's obviously got some problems, but it seems like a nice dog.
Yeah, but it does. That's it. It's just it's a trouble dog. It's like going to the RSPCA.
Yeah, it's like listen, I know you got some problems, mate, but you're safe now, and I'm going to look after you because you're my pal. Except for the fact that it then tries to kill you, and you have to throw knives at it, which is. I wonder if there's actually a way to. I didn't get the impression that you did anything wrong there because you picked the nice option. I wonder if there's any way of like pacifying it and actually. Not having to do this.
I'm not sure, and I think this is a part of Larian saying...
And then you try and loot it again, but you can't, even then, man, I had to skip because you spent another, 60 seconds trying to loot the corpse of the dog you just killed. What did you expect it to have on it?
Maybe a magic spell or something.
And here is a boss fight. This is towards the end of this prison section.
Yeah, so this is shortly before I think I escape, although I'm not sure. I think I ran around for a while. So she has her own option there. So Losa has her own abilities. She tends to get on with people a little bit better.
Right.
But these other people, so I've got an elf here in my party as well. And this elf is, can consume things. Body parts, but she can also. I think she's got a vendetta for someone. I think it's
she also doesn't have a lot of health.
Oh, she is well dead at that point.
Yeah. So this is quite a powerful, single enemy. In fact, you can also see in the turn timers at the top there. There were 3 other things you have to do.
Yeah, I didn't realise that. I didn't pay much attention to that, and I was a bit surprised when they suddenly started.
This is a cool ability that your rogue has, which called Adrenaline, which gives you action points from the next turn. So you get to basically because you realise this is a strong enemy and you can't let it have another go at you. You put everything into that, and that works really well. You took with a single character, you almost took 2/3 of its health or something. And that just looks cool. That looks cool. Jumping in the air,
and knock him down.
And then you're trying to figure out how to get into the line of sight. Why did your other 2 party members run all the way down there? Is that just because, and when a combat starts, they
yes, I think they go into a formation. Yeah. I was a bit surprised about that.
But I guess the formation doesn't realise.
You can get an ability just like in the first game, where when you stand in blood, your character heals.
Here's the other enemies you're going to have to worry about.
Yeah.
What a wonderful name for an enemy. A meat golem.
It's like a giant, angry, walking burger.
Thankfully, they have to spend the first turn smashing through these gates.
But as with the other game as well, so your special ability arrows, which you'll see on the far right of the hotbar there, and also grenades are super useful because you can just blow up an area, or the arrows can effectively do the same. But you have your abilities on the left-hand side.
Yep.
So I've only got a few because I'm quite low level.
It reminds me a little bit of playing games like Morrowind. Like the difference between Morrowind and some of the later Elder Scrolls games is that game loved you figuring out how to abuse its systems and really go over the top with stuff.
Absolutely, this is completely a systems-based game. It's like having, your toy box in front of you, and you're working out how to get around it, and it wants you to exploit it. You can craft and do other things as well with all these items and abilities. There's a lot. There's so much freedom to the game, which is what people.
I like it that stage. You're like, oh, water barrel. Yeah, I should probably put that in the hotbar because we're going to be using that soon. Yeah, that the Red Prince is his Dragon Breath ability is both a blessing and a curse for you.
The thing is, it's because it's quite close.
Yeah, you can quite easily get into a bit of trouble. So the meat golems, I actually can't tell how powerful they are.
I think they're quite powerful. But the saving grace here is that their pathfinding has to come all the way up the stairs.
Oh, so you get to
I can
whittle them away. Yeah, sure.
Not sure who that person is over there on the right-hand side.
I think that they're surrounded by blood and doing some weird things with their hands. I imagine it's good that you don't know. Just leave them to their own thing. So you do you, person over there. So
one thing we're not seeing here is the arena PvP mode, which is new to Original Sin 2. Mm-hmm. And is a lot of fun, because as with a lot of these games, you get to the end and you kind of want to test your skills on someone else. Sure. You want to see how you measure up. And I tested my skills on Rock, Paper, Shotgun's Adam Smith.
Those guys.
He was very nice. And I won.
They're really good at PC games, though. That's sort of their deal.
I beat him. And it's great because you get a lot of powerful abilities, and like I was saying earlier with the Curse and Bless, you get lots of abilities where you can like switch places with characters. You can teleport them, so even if you set a fire field up over here and they're not there, then you can just move them into it.
Is that? I imagine the PvP side of the game ends up being a lot of things on fire.
Yeah,
just like lots of tiles on fire.
Well, as with the game as well, like setting surfaces on fire, it's so powerful. Mm-hmm. If you just rely on your melee attacks and things, but it's also dangerous because all of a sudden you can have a whole area in flames and you're in it as well, and it doesn't mess around. It's not afraid to punish you, the game.
So what do you think Divinity players are going to make of the sequel? Is it like there were some obviously extra bits that we've mentioned, like a few mechanical changes, the addition of like the PvP stuff. What? That was a rapid meat golem.
He's angry.
Do you think that's?
I think I panicked verbally very loudly.
Yeah, you weren't expecting that kind of pace, were you? Is this like more of the same? Well, not that that's. I'm not saying that is a
what
bad
they've
thing.
done is they've
really
expanded all the systems. They've added more options. So imagine the tools you have in the first game, and your box of tools is so big. Your box of tools now is bigger. The world's bigger. Mm-hmm. Everything's bigger. In terms of nothing's been drastically altered per se. They're also adding something that's new as a game master mode. So like a DM in Dungeons and Dragons, or GM, whatever you call them, you can be the boss in a multiplayer mode. And we haven't seen that yet. They've only talked about it.
Oh, that's cool.
So I think they're adding stuff for longevity, and the PvP as well. I mean, I don't know how serious the PvP scene will be. I don't think it will be that serious, but it's a nice thing to kind of pad the game out after you've.
Oh no, Bertie! No, Bertie.
I'm at this point. I need the floor to be on fire.
Bertie, no, this never goes well for you. It's a very cool looking ability, isn't it? Okay, now just walk away from the fire without also being on fire. That would be ideal right now.
Well, he's run out of action points because you see the little blue blobs, green blobs.
Yep. He
just said an R. Kelly line there. I believe I can fly.
Look at that. There you are. You did it. I'm so proud. The meat golems are actually, they're almost gone. One of them's got about 2/3 of its health left.
And they went then, I think.
And you've set everything on fire. Like that is cool that you can read the map like that and realize they have to come through those tiles.
And as soon as you move in fire as well, you take damage for like every step you take, which is why
you're trying to give them a bit more distance.
Yeah. If they can run through a fire field, then that's perfect.
Awesome. And just fire a couple of one-shots.
You can also play something we didn't see here, but you can also play this with friends cooperatively, or as is the weird thing, and you can play it competitively as well. You can have characters on the same sort of quest, but actually against each other. This I wasn't prepared.
Oh
for
my
that.
god! What? There's another staircase. Oh no!
But fortunately, it was almost dead.
I'm just constantly surprised by how quickly something called a meat golem can move. It sounds like a very slow enemy. It's like, sometimes in zombie films where they subvert your expectations and they make the zombies real quick. That's what just happened with the meat golems.
You can see on the right there, you can see a lot of the abilities that are open. I mean, some of them should be locked off a bit. It's still, the game's not...
I get the impression that, like, with this being a preview, you have, although you played it for hours, you have a somewhat limited amount of time to play around with. I get the impression you mostly went for stuff that you kind of... The bread and butter kind of options, the stuff that will work and that you can carry on and see as much of the game as possible.
Yeah.
Because that screen right there looks like something to me that you could get lost in quite easily, and requires a lot of hovering over and looking at tooltips.
Yeah.
But it all works out, and I like that when you leave the dungeon, you have the trait smelly. I don't know what.
I think I went through some sewage, or I had to go through a sewage pipe or something.
Well, anyway, we're coming towards the end of the gameplay here. I think I want to show one more encounter that you had.
Bit of garlic in the tree trunk there.
I like you've just escaped. You finally we're free. Oh, let me just go and get this garlic out of a tree stump.
It just must be a natural thing that whenever I see, I have to loot.
Yeah. I hear you. Like right now, I think you see a corpse in a minute, and you try and loot that. Yeah, immediately it's like, there we are. Better go and see if there's any boots I can steal from it. Why would you ever take raw meat off a dead body?
Well,
in what world do you think that's a good idea?
Well, I don't know. The thing with this, because there's crafting and you can combine things, it's like, well, I'll fill up my packs and then at some point I'll just see what I can put together. Raw meat,
dead body, those things don't go together.
I'll cook it. They look hardy. He's a lizard. He's probably got 2 stomachs or something.
He's probably into that.
I don't know if he has got 2 stomachs.
And I think we're about to come up to the last big proper fight that you've got. This one ends up being a little bit tricky.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that looks like a trap, obviously. You knew that, surely.
Decomposing pyromancer. When I saw pyromancer, I thought,
I had a bit of an issue with fire so far, but I'm sure this time it'll go fine. Okay, so what have you got here? You've got him, and then you've got a decomposing swashbuckler down at the bottom there. So what was your thought process right now? What were you thinking?
I was thinking I needed to take the top guy out because I thought, okay, magic user who's going to drop a load of fire on me.
Yeah.
That's going to be tricky.
So immediately you get into a barrel.
So I wanted to get up there and get behind him.
Yeah, but that would have.
But that didn't work. So now
so
I'm just doing what the only thing I could do.
Oh yeah, because you don't have no action points.
Well, I could steal some from the next round. And then when I see Molotov grenade, I think,
yeah, this already hasn't gone quite to plan. Do you know my problem with what just happened? You can't call yourself a pyromancer because you use Molotov grenades. Like that's not being a pyromancer. That's just someone checking a bottle.
That's true.
Pyromancy should be summoning the flames from within.
Yeah,
maybe using a staff. Like. That's really upset you, hasn't it? How many?
I'm gutted at that point. I don't like it when people do the same thing to me.
Yeah, that's very much your thing. So yeah, the hail strike.
So I haven't got that many.
Oh, this is cool. I think what you do here is set a pool of blood. You electrify it, which is just a good thing to be able to do. And then, who are you teleporting into it?
I'm trying to get someone into it.
Oh, but he's out of line of sight, so you do it with the swashbuckler. That is a cool thing that Divinity lets you do. It's like, there's lots of blood here, I'm going to electrify it, and then teleport someone else into it. What other game lets you do that?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I don't have that many options of things that I can do because I'm
Yeah,
quite
you're
low
still
level.
relatively low level, right?
But when you've got lots of abilities, lots of grenades or bombs, lots of different types of magic arrows, you get scrolls as well, so you can sort of pretend to be a spellcaster.
Sure.
You can just do them straight off that. And when you get naturally more abilities, then you can just set everything just goes crackers. And I can imagine against some of the bosses who have
the end game
abilities.
fights must just look ridiculous.
And you obviously you get you can get lots of powerful equipment which has immunities to certain things. But I can imagine rooms being set on fire and
this is you have to go for. I love that in the middle of a fight you have to use a water balloon to deal with what's going on.
Exactly why I picked it up.
I reckon you could have caught your friend on the right there as well.
I probably could have.
It's very selfish behaviour from the Red Prince.
I do a lot of stuff in Divinity Original Sin 1 and probably here where I do a few things by mistake and then someone's dead.
Yeah.
It's one of those types of games. There we go, a bit of fire.
Nice. Fight fire with fire, as they say.
So this is coming to console as well. I don't know if anyone was in any doubt about that after the Enhanced Edition came to console as well.
It was received pretty well, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I was told it sold quite well as well. Apparently it sold something like 500,000 copies.
Wow.
And the PC version's done 1.3. But that certainly makes console a significant part of the plan. It's going to be a couple of months after the PC version, which...
Obviously you're playing on PC here because
you
can... Well, I imagine people could have already told that by the...
Yeah, it's a bit...
key bindings and the mouse.
It's a bit clumsier on console because of the pad.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot going on. And there's a lot of specific, placement of abilities to consider.
And when things are so delicately balanced, when there's a space, if you step one square or to the right and you end up in a fire puddle, that can be...
Speaking from experience there.
Well... But this time, actually, something that I noticed a lot is in Divinity Original Sin 1, I would ask my players to go somewhere and there would be fire on the floor. They'd just run through it.
Right.
I'd be like, well, why have you done that? You're dead now. But they don't do that.
The pathfinding's a little
it's
smarter.
Better,
okay, that's good.
Which was very helpful.
Yeah, this is a game that lets you hurt yourself a lot, so that's probably for the best. Almost, did you get him there? Yes.
Yep, he's dead. He's down.
Nice.
Well, dead. He's already dead. I don't know.
Well, he's decomposing. I don't feel he's technically dead already.
I could have just left him if he's decomposing.
Just come back in half an hour and you might have been fine. All right, cool. Well, I think that is probably a good place to wrap up.
Someone died.
It's fine. You know what? The fight went pretty well. You set everything on fire. You got set on fire. That seems to be, very much the theme of your campaign so far.
Very much, very much.
Cool. So you liked it?
A lot, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for watching. And when will we next see something from Divinity 2, do you think? Any idea?
Well, they've got an early access release planned for around September. I think we might hear more about the Game Master mode in the run-up to that.
Sure.
But if September's not far away.
I think on a personal level, we would like to come back to at least the PvP stuff, because that sounds fun. Maybe challenge those RPS pricks to it. And also, if the Game Master stuff is available, sounds interesting, also sounds a bit mysterious at the moment, so it'll be cool to see exactly how that plays out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, thank you for recording all of this lovely footage, Bertie.
That's right, thanks for having me.
Nice.